Hello and welcome to Engine Adventures off-road review of this 2022 Lexus LX600 F Sport. All right, the first thing we're gonna try and do here is climb that. So that's a tall order. We're gonna be in 4 low, rock mode. Let's see what we can do. So it's hard to see. All these notches look almost the same, but it is in 4 low and it says L4 there, 4 low. And then we're gonna hit multi-terrain select. And it does show it here. So there we are, rock mode. And let's back it up. Sorry, I'm out of breath, been running up and down the hill a couple times to make sure, 1, I could make the top, and 2, that I had to set up the camera. So anyway, there you see the camera system showing the tires in 4 low. It changes so you can see the driver's side and passenger side tires a little better. And this is steep. I'm not even sure why it was beeping. Shows all 4 wheels lighting up there. But we are currently, that says 30 degrees. All 4 wheels are spinning. So we're on about a 10-degree side slope, 28 or so up. Wow, that was sliding a lot. So we're in reverse, crawl control, lowest speed, and we'll let it do its thing. Interesting. It's probably because the brakes are wet, but and you can see it's the front end that's sliding, not the rear. There we go. All right, let's turn that up 1 speed. Okay, we'll try it with a tiny bit of momentum. Or should we just try crawl control? Let's just try crawl control in drive. So we'll go up to the mid-level speed on the crawl control. Apparently I just drove through a bush. That's not good. And right here's where I got stuck. Crawl control almost had it. All right, not gonna happen. Crawl control down to level 1. The traction control is what's flashing. That's what's getting me here. So I'm hard on the brakes and it's just sliding on the front. There's no weight on the front end at all. Trying to get out of this bush, so let's try that again. See if I can change my angle enough to get out of the bush. There we go. There we are. Okay, so we'll go back to rock mode and try it with a tiny bit of momentum. I figured this hill was too steep and too loose, but with it being wet, might have had a chance. Okay, multi-terrain select. We're in rock mode. Drive. Here we go. There we are. So that was pretty darn steep. I'm glad we made it. Something I failed to mention is the center differential lock. So I just put it in 4 low and it's automatically raising it up to the highest height. Anyway, when you're in 4-low, despite that feature, I wish it would stay at the normal height. When you're towing, there are times when it's very nice to put the vehicle in 4-wheel drive low and be able to turn on asphalt while backing a trailer uphill. And having the center differential, which a traditional 4-wheel drive system doesn't have a center differential, so as soon as you put it into 4-wheel drive, it's locked essentially. There's no center differential. It just, the front and rear axles are tied together. Anyway, when you're backing a trailer uphill, having the 4-low gives you much more control over the trailer, meaning you don't have to do nearly as much throttle input. You can be smoother and more effective in your backing if you can back up in 4-low without having the drive lines binding. And this is a great system. It's been on the Sequoia and Land Cruiser for a long time. At least the Sequoia, you get the 2-wheel drive. This one you don't. But anyway, really love that system. It should be available in more vehicles. I don't know why it's not used more often. And instead of using a center differential, people, well, and in this, it's a Torsen limited slip center differential. And instead of doing that, manufacturers are using clutch-based differentials, which can slip under load. They can overheat. I've overheated them. Other journalists have overheated them. And it's sad in an off-road vehicle that they're using that type of system that overheats when you're putting a lot of pressure on it and using it as an off-road vehicle. I'm speaking about the ZR2, the Ram Rebel. Yeah, anyway, when you have the option of this Torsen style limited slip center differential with the locking feature, that I would take that 100% over any clutch style transfer case. Sorry, moving on. Sorry for the background noise. I want to go over everything towing on this Lexus LX600. So, first, start with the bumper cover. It sits in there. To remove it, it has these style of clips, which is a terrible design. You have to have a body clip remover or removal tool to be able to get those. I tried that one with a screwdriver and I did break it in half, as you can see. Terrible design. Most of the other ones are push and twist. If you're gonna steal it, you're gonna be able to steal that either way. I know, I'm sure people steal these and then resell them or whatever to try and get a bunch of money, but anyway, or a little bit of money at least. It might help prevent thefts a little bit, but it's not great. And then these clips are on here so tight that I was worried after breaking this one, because it's pretty cold out, I was worried about breaking some more of these tabs off, and it was quite difficult to remove. Once you get it removed, let's take a little bit of a closer look here. Hopefully I can get this. So you have the receiver here, and you can see the inside wall and then the outside wall, and there's a big gap in between there. And that design was actually quite a pain. So here, standard locking hitch pin. This will fit a Ford 3-inch receiver. In case you're wondering, this is a 2-inch receiver. Put that in there, and it doesn't fit. So the receiver is too wide. So I measured it close to 3.7 inches with calipers here. It's hard because of the angle to get in there, but anyway, I measured it in there about 3.7 inches and doesn't quite go on far enough to lock. So think, oh, that's fine, I'll just grab another pin. I've got hitch pin laying around. It's got this one. It's got a longer span, and hopefully that's showing up there. I can't get the pin in because the plastic cladding's in the way. So I'll try the other side. Same issue. Can't get it in because there's plastic cladding all in the way. And I tried to push it in and smash it, whatever. I couldn't get that hitch pin in. So what I do have here is a whole box of various hitch pins, and let's give them a shot. Let's try this guy. He seems pretty short.
Nope, too short. Can't even get close to putting the pin on that one. That's all the way in right there. You can see it doesn't really stick out at all. All right, let's grab the next hitch pin. I mean, there's got to be one in this box that will fit, right? So that one looks pretty long. Might actually be long enough. Let's see. Oh, it clears over here. And, well, maybe. Oh, there we go. So I got that one in. It barely, I think that's actually the longest one in here too. All these other ones are about that same length or shorter. So, and it barely fits. Trying to get that clip on there, it just barely fits this. So if you were going to be towing with an LX600, maybe order the hitch pin from Lexus so you get the right size. It's going to cost you a little more, or if you're lucky enough to have a whole box of hitch pins, do that. But the locking hitch pins I have don't fit, and the standard ones that you would use for a 2-inch receiver, too narrow. Even the ones for a 2.5-inch receiver are too narrow to make it all the way across the outside of there. Overall, I am not happy with this hitch design. And then, of course, I went to go tow with this one, and the 7-pin plug is not equipped, so it doesn't have the trailer wiring plug from the factory. It does have up underneath in here, basically right here, but on the underside, it has the plug, so you can buy a 7-pin from Lexus, plug it in there. It mounts underneath and kind of back a ways. You can't see it. I don't know what Lexus, Toyota, you know, Toyota Land Cruiser, whatever, what they were thinking in designing this, but it's not a great design in many ways. If you're actually towing with it, it's quite the pain, and I think they probably could have figured out just how to put the 7-pin right here, or I don't know, done a little bit better job on developing that for sure, rather than almost hiding it underneath. You have to, some trailers will need an extension to be able to reach where the 7-pin is mounted, and yeah, as you saw with the hitch pins, it's not a great design. The chain hooks are actually okay. They're a decent size on here for what you're going to be towing. I mean, the opening's a little small for some trailers, but for the trailers this vehicle will be towing, that should be fine. The other option is to get a hitch like this one right here. Get a hitch like this one right here. So it is sleeved, so it'll fit the 2.5, but you can get these in a 2-inch, or the new 2.5s don't have the sleeve on them. It's actually bigger all around, but has the key here, and the hitch pin slides out right there and locks it from the inside, so you don't have to worry about putting a hitch pin through this monstrosity. If you just buy one of these flash ball mounts that's called a secure ball mount, get the 2-inch shank version, and then you can actually put it in your receiver, lock it in place with the pin. Hope you can see these moving in and out. Anyway, lock it into place, and then you're good to go. So anyway, I just be wary of that. If you're planning to tow with your LX, go through the whole process. Make sure you've got the 7-pin plug before you start, and you've got a hitch pin and hitch that works in this system. And then your chains, I think most chains will fit that. There might, like I said, there might be a couple that don't, but for the most part, you'll be okay on the chains. But yeah, everything else about this has been a big pain, and maybe look at replacing these with a different style. It's easier to undo if you're going to be towing regularly. All right, and just to show you where that 7-pin would normally mount, I believe is right here, kind of maybe off of these two holes right here. It hates when I lay under here. It was doing this the other night. And up here, those plugs right there, they're actually 2 plugs right there, and those are where you would plug it into. So you unplug those from their little plastic mounts here, plug them into your 7-pin. It mounts, I believe, into those 2 holes right there. and kind of hangs down right here just a little bit. It's about the same height as the spare tire, so it's not going to drag on the ground most likely, but you know, it's kind of back in here underneath, nearly, I don't know, 8 inches, 10 inches further back than if it were located right here.
All right, we are in four-wheel drive high again, and just the normal drive mode. I have raised the suspension up one, the button's right here for it. And let's see what we can do. So that just beeped on here and said mud? Interesting. Anyway, we're almost to the spot where we can get going a little faster. Right here. So keep in mind, this is not the same as the other high-speed off-road tests that I've been doing, but this is still pretty good. We're going about 20. These bumps are pretty big, and this thing eats them up. We're down to 18 miles an hour now. It's smooth, much smoother than you would expect over this type of terrain. Just eating the bumps up. Yeah, I mean, we're over 20 miles an hour. So my threshold's typically 20, and this definitely surpasses the 20 mile an hour threshold, but you can see the normal route that I test is right there, and it's blocked off. So I do want to talk here for a minute about some of the features on this thing. So I sent Lexus some emails to try and get some more information, and they responded with a lot. So the front suspension is a standard strut assembly, the same thing as the previous Land Cruiser and LX and all that stuff. And it uses the active variable suspension and or active height control, which this thing has, as you can see here in those shocks and all that stuff that I showed you. And so it uses those to adjust the pressure in the shocks and the height of the vehicle. Somehow it does both in the same system without, so I can adjust the shock pressure without raising the vehicle somehow. So that's a little bit something I don't understand fully yet. It does have a solid rear axle with, you know, standard shocks, whatever, but with the adjustable height shocks. There is no KDSS. It does have the multi-terrain select. The rear differential or axle ratios are 3.307 to 1. The center transfer case is a torsion limited slip with the E-locker right here. And there are no front or rear locking differentials. And then in the F-Sport that we have, it does have a rear torsion style limited slip. So that's information that I emailed and just confirmed for the most part, all that with Toyota and sorry, with Lexus. But anyway, it kind of retains the same setup as the previous generation Land Cruiser and the LX570 had. It is very capable with the crawl control. They've definitely updated it. It's still noisier than the one in the Tundra, but quieter than the previous generation ones that I've messed with. And I don't know where the sync button is anyway. What else do I want to talk about? So all the different drive modes and stuff like that, because of the testing location, the amount of time I have, and the weather, I was not able to go through it all, but I do want to briefly talk about the different settings. So you have the multi-terrain select here, and generally it just goes from least aggressive to most aggressive. So auto, dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow. And when I say least aggressive to most aggressive, what I'm talking about is the computer input. And so depending on the terrain you select, it will brake the spinning wheels more or less. So in dirt mode, it's going to do less braking. sand mode, it's slightly more than dirt. Mud, it's going to do slightly more than sand, and in deep snow, slightly more. And then it also will adjust the throttle, especially in snow and stuff like that, so you're not slipping as much. This is deep snow, which is different than, you know, a regular snow mode on ice. And then in the four-wheel drive low, same thing. You're going to go from least aggressive, which is sand mode, to mud, and then to rock. So rock mode is the most aggressive. It's breaking the wheels that are spinning more so than any other drive mode. And it does have this option here where you can turn off the auto height adjust. So when you push these buttons, it doesn't do anything, and it's locked in the highest setting, H2, you can see there. So when I turn that back on, yeah, anyway, so it also does have, I'm not sure why it's not letting me do this. Let me see. So it does have the turn assist. I don't know how well that's showing up right there, and I'm not sure why I can't select it. Does crawl control? Yep. So when you select crawl control, you can select the trail turn assist, and it will brake. It doesn't seem to be doing it that much. The rear inside wheel, so I'm turning right, so it's going to be putting the brakes on that wheel to try and pull this thing around the corner in a tighter arc. Yeah, I can hear it now. So it's definitely doing that a little bit. All right, anyway, so you have to have crawl control on, or the downhill assist, whatever, to do that. This thing has everything from nothing to everything. So when you're in 4 low, you turn off the multi-terrain select, and now it's just gonna spin the wheels. You're not gonna have any brake intervention at all. You can hit the center diff lock. Shows up here. I was trying to find where, come on. There we go, felt it, nope. And it does not want to lock. Curious if it shows up anywhere else. There we go, it's locked in now. Ah, right there. So center diff lock as well. So you can do that in 4 high, 4 low, doesn't matter. And from there, everything, it just lets the wheel spin however much without any computer intervention. I like that system. I do wish we got the version they get in Japan where you can get front and rear locking differentials, you know, they're optional, whatever, but I do wish it could come with those as well. It does have some interesting camera views where you can look from outside the vehicle. That's looking at the rear end. I don't know why you want the rear of that. Anyway, does have some pretty cool camera angles and all that kind of stuff, and it gives you your pitch and roll here. It shows you what your brake and accelerator are doing there. It has a lot of off-road features. If you're new to off-roading and not very comfortable, use crawl control, set your speed here, and let it do its thing. As you gain more and more experience and want to practice more, if you're trying to develop your own skills, hit 4-wheel drive low, leave your diff lock open even in the center. I mean, it's a Torsen, it's gonna slip one front wheel, one rear wheel for the most part anyway, but leave it off and practice finding the best lines you can and develop your skill that way. So this vehicle, it is a great vehicle for those traveling on-road long distances, going to their campsites, off-roading, pulling a trailer. It pulls 8,000 pounds. It has a lot of all-around good features, and it'll get you into most places off-road that are Forest Service roads, even, you know, some of them that are a little less maintained than others. Once you get into the trail type stuff, it doesn't have as much clearance. It's going to run into issues there. But overall, really a great all-wheel drive system, 4-wheel drive system, 4 high, 4 low, all that stuff, all the electronics. Toyota has dialed in the electronics really well. I mean, other people have Land Rover and stuff like that, Jeeps, they all have really good systems as well. But here in the Land Cruiser / LX600, the system works really, really well.
I do want to talk briefly about a couple things. One of them, the 22-inch wheels. So right after I did all the filming, I was heading out, driving down the main dirt road, and hit a rock, managed to pinch the tire between the rock and the 22-inch wheel and blew out the sidewall on the tire. And I did come across these lug nuts, which are really cool. They have like this separate center piece that sticks to the wheel and doesn't scratch it while you tighten down the lug nut. So you can still twist the lug nut, but the piece touching the wheel stays stationary. And then the other cool thing I noticed was that the TPMS system includes a sensor on the spare tire. And the spare tire on this thing was a full-size matching spare. So this is a 22-inch forged aluminum wheel. That is not a cheap spare to have, but Lexus does include that, which I think is amazing. I was able to switch the spare out, put it on real quick, and continue on my way without any problems, and no one would even know the difference because the spare is a matching wheel for the other wheels on the vehicle. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos, and be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you want to see, what you liked, and what you didn't like. Thanks again. Have a great day.